Good morning, Facebook friends, LinkedIn connections, and our YouTube subscribers, regardless of where you are at today. Today is Labor Day, right? And for many of you, you are taking perhaps your last summer vacay. For some of you, kind of like me, my co-host and my guest today, you may be somewhat working in the background. Why? Because when you are the leader of your business, when you're the entrepreneur growing a business, you'll hear it soon enough later. You're always kind of working. But the beautiful part of that is you can delegate the things that maybe you don't need to focus on. And as many of you know, our video podcast series, Flipping That House, which is where you're at today, it is quote unquote a labor of love. So, with all of that said, let me bring in my co host today. He's also, like me, kind of working, but not really. Maybe that's what he's going to tell me. So let's let him tell me that. Okay. So, Catalin, are you kind of working today?
Happy Monday. It's funny. I am. My plan was to kind of work today, but then it became to I am actually going to full on work today. It was interesting.
Oh,
My unfortunately my plans have changed a little bit. My son had a little accident and broke his arm, but he's good, thank
oh,
goodness. So then our weekend plans have changed dramatically. And I had a very busy weekend with showings and clients and contracts. We put a place under contract, and then today we want to go in there with the mother-in-law to take some measurements for furniture. And I'm full on work. I thought it's going to be a couple of hours today, but I think it's going to be a pretty much a full day of labor. But it's a labor of love, as you said.
yeah,
As self-employed individuals, we work for our business and we take it personal, and it's our baby, so we have it always with us.
true, true. And the old cliche is real estate never sleeps, right? Life events always happen. As you and I have joked about it in previous episodes, there are those 5 Ds in real estate, right? What is it? A diamonds, diapers. Those two I know off the top. And people get married. By the way,
Yes.
this time of the year, there's so many weddings that my wife and I are going to. We are guests. So it's not our wedding, but it's like cousins, the children of close friends. And so, yes, the month of September is like busy, busy time for weddings, baby showers. That's the diaper part. So, yeah,
Yes.
real estate never stops.
Never stops, and life never stops, right? So our circumstances change all the time. So we have, as you said, newlyweds, they want a bigger house. We have people that have a second or a third child, they want a bigger house. And
Bigger house.
or people retiring, or people, kids moving outside the house. So life never stops, and our job is always busy, and sometimes interesting and challenging.
True, true. And I loved how you shared with me the fact that today you have to uh, let a client's mother come into a property to take measurements. That is so smart. Can I tell you why? I've had
Absolutely.
um, I've had some buyer clients who have gone into escrow on a specific property. We were in process with financing, ready to drop the clear to close. And Catalin, guess what they did? They bought furniture without measuring doorways. You know how dangerous that can be.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that is not a smart choice. Do not buy furniture without measuring. And
That's
the
right.
funny thing is, yes, that the mother-in-law really wants to go to measure because she wants to give them that furniture. So
Oh,
and I always say it's a sticky product, right? So
yeah,
when they imagine furniture in a home,
yeah.
that's it. They see
That's real.
themselves there. That
That's
it becomes real. We're not going back.
Yeah, yeah. It becomes real. It becomes it becomes the reality of, okay, get ready to drop your earnest money, right?
Exactly. It's Monday, not a business day, but tomorrow we're doing the inspection, and the earnest money check too. So moving along. But it's a
Gotcha,
good, good,
gotcha.
good, good feeling.
So,
Yes.
so as part of what I think I know with the business of real estate being 24/7, let's talk about what I call the nothing burger or the elephant in the room, Catalin. And that is about 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
there's quote unquote some subtle changes on your side of the business as it relates to buyer or seller agency agreement, right? How have
Absolutely.
how have you adapted to that change?
It's a great question. I've been having that conversation with my clients for a while now, and we've been practicing, and we're really open with how we get paid. We're very, very open on how and what has changed, right? So our number one goal, is when I tell my clients and everything else, is part of the negotiation is to make sure that we get our commission paid by the seller.
Right,
Okay. Very, very rare circumstances is where a seller might not pay for our commission. And in that scenario, my clients will know way before they even put in an offer, way before we even start a conversation. My team and my scheduling assistant make sure that before even we go and look at a property, if they have a cooperative agreement in place and if they're going to pay for our services. If not, then I will prepare my client to understand that, hey, when we go under contract, we have to negotiate my pay within this offer. So at the end of the day, I would say that not much has changed.
yeah.
It's just the way we negotiate things, right? So we just went under contract this weekend for a dear friend of mine, and part of the negotiation was our pay,
Mhm.
and we had no issues. The other agent on the other side, was communicative and good and professional. So I don't see any major problems. I think that there, like in every industry, we have professionals that might not be prepared
Right,
to negotiate, might not be educated or knowledgeable on how things work. So
right.
those could be challenging situations where our clients, unfortunately, the clients will suffer. But
Sure.
for the most part, Bill, from all the professionals that I know, nobody's concerned. Everybody, especially the big brokerages, they're prepared. They understand that paying a co-op fee, and paying for professional agents to come and show your property and bring you qualified buyers and everything else, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So, I'm not that concerned. It's just another part of the disclosure process, and just our clients understand the value of what we bring to the table.
Do you see that maybe you may make some adjustments to buyers who are flippers in terms of their compensation to you? What are your thoughts there?
So that's a great question. There we have a lot of our investors that are looking in the lower price range homes. That's where we see that discrepancy, and I would say experienced realtors, and also people not willing to pay because they don't make a lot of money, right? So
Right.
the margins are so small.
Yeah.
So the number one change that we're considering with our investors is maybe a set
Yeah.
a set
Set
fee to
fee. Right.
find the homes, to get them the homes, and get them to where they need to be, because that's probably a lot easier for everybody. It's kind of like house hunter, right? You find them there, that the specific home within that specific range, then you get paid your exact commission for doing that. So we've been talking about it.
Okay.
Nothing is set in stone, but with investors, knowing exactly what they expected, helps them with their bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. If I may storyboard this with you.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this, Catalin. If I'm one of your flipping buyers, um, I buy into what you just shared with me, which is, Bill, for your acquisition of the flip that you want to work on, let's do a set fee. And I'm like, hey, I'm right on with that idea. And then part of the storyboard then you say to me, but
Mm-hmm.
Bill, when you go to sell the flip, I want that listing.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And it's a done deal, because as long as, I always tell people, and we spoke about this in the past, you make
Right.
money when you buy,
Yeah.
right? As long as you buy it right, then when you sell, you're going to make money, right?
True, man.
So,
True.
at the end of the day, as long as I did my job to find you that good investment property, then I'm pretty confident that I deserve the listing.
Absolutely. I would be spot on in our role play. So, audience members, you heard it from Kathleen. He's embraced how some changes have taken place from his side of the business. But as I joked with Kathleen, it's a nothing burger for someone like you that's been doing what you've been doing, which is having open, transparent, candid conversations with a client like myself. It's business as usual, right? Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, audience members, today I have a special guest that I want to share with you. And just like Catalin talked about just now, he said, clients, whether you're buying with me and or selling with me as part of flipping that house or flipping that property, it's all about helping you make money. Well, this guest of mine, she is also she is also about making sure you pocket as much money as possible. And before I bring her into the room, let me tease you with a short video as to giving you a hint. What is it that she does to make sure you pocket more money? So let's roll. We all have to pay taxes. The whole idea is, how do you minimize how much you really have to pay? And of course, do it the right, efficient way. So now that we've set that backdrop, let me bring in mi amiga, uh, Maribel Salazar, into the conversation. So, Maribel, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing well. I am actually out of the country, but very happy to be with you guys. This is such an exciting topic, and I wanted to make sure that I could be part of this and share whatever information I have that could be useful for your audience.
Absolutely. And as we joked about at the start of our episode today, when you are a business leader, entrepreneur, you're self-employed, you're always kind of working 24/7. It's the secret is what effective work you want to drive toward, right?
Exactly. And this is, I mean, it is a lot of work, but it's also very rewarding to be your own boss. I mean, I'm a strong believer of the American dream. At
Yeah.
my office, we only work with business owners, including real estate people. And it's because of that. That's really what drives me and my team to work with business owners, because I think that that's the American dream. And we are kind of the backbone of the US. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. So one thing I kind of know, Maribel, is when it comes to the business of real estate, you're certainly uh, not a rookie nor a newbie to that, right? So let's move now the conversation to one question I want to lead off asking you. What are the tax benefits of owning real estate versus flipping real estate? Can you talk to that from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have a real estate license. I'm a broker. I don't know if you knew that, Bill. I don't practice. I don't really know the rules. I just have it because I work with a lot of real estate brokers and just professionals in the real estate field. And so I just wanted to better understand Even when I have my own deals, I'm not the person. I did it one time and it did not go well. So let me tell you, you need to get advice from the people that actually are out there and actually doing things.
That's right.
So after that, every time I do something in real estate, even though I have a license, I work with somebody that is really an expert in that field. So
Yeah.
I recognize that very clearly. So this is an area that I really like because, just all about it, all real estate stuff. I like looking at the houses, but I also like that my broker clients, I mean, you guys can make so much money on a single transaction, and it's not easy. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of stuff you need to know and be good at. But it's a good opportunity. And then for those of you guys that it doesn't matter if you're fully in real estate or you have a business, or maybe you don't, but you want to get your feet wet into real estate. I mean, there's different ways to get into it. One simple way is buy and hold. That's what Bill suggested. Like, yeah, this is a simple strategy. I like it because it allows you to build your wealth. And so it's part of the diversified concept, to be diversified in your investments. So you make money because it appreciates, hopefully. And then there could be cash flow, but then there's also the tax savings. And that's what I'm here to talk about.
Right.
A lot of times, my real estate people are looking to make, whether it's a flip or a hold decision. And even though the taxation part of it is so critical, I feel like it doesn't get the attention that it should sometimes. And so I would encourage everyone to take that into consideration, because when we're talking about tax bracket and tax rates, whether it's capital gains or just ordinary income, I mean, some of my clients have pretty high tax rates as it is. And so investing in real estate, holding it, and being able to write off big amounts, all of a sudden it's a good thing just from a wealth accumulation perspective, but just to save money in taxes, it just becomes the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
So to get into it a little more, with my flipping clients, I call them flipping clients. Well, I want to kind of talk about a couple of things. One is, what are the areas that I see where my clients kind of get surprised that are maybe new to flipping?
Okay.
And then secondly, I'll talk about some basic strategies that you all should know about if you are getting into this flipping business. So to start, a lot of people, they buy a property and they want to rehab it, and that's great. But something that they don't realize is that the IRS looks at this and says that's inventory because you're gonna flip it. And so what happens is you can put a lot of money during the year to fix the property, and your cash flow may actually be kind of low. And so what catches people off guard sometimes, especially people new to this, is that they are thinking that all the money that they're spending to fix it somehow is going to be deductible when they do their taxes. And so, and I've had this conversation before with people that are new to this, and maybe they're not able to sell it the first year. Maybe the market or is just taking longer to fix it. There's so many reasons why it just doesn't happen as people expect. And so I think that's the first thing you should know. If you're going to get into this flipping business, know that it's inventory. You cannot expense all that money that you're putting into this property necessarily in the year when you're incurring all those expenses. So again, cash flow is very different than profit. So when you sell that, that's when all those expenses come into play and get matched to that sales price. And so people should know that, because I think it's kind of a basic concept, but sometimes people are not aware, and so it catches them off guard.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important, right, Catalin? And when it comes to working with a flipping client, you need this team of resources, yourself, Maribel, to make sure that they come out on the other side in the way that they expect, correct?
I always say this: you're only as strong as your team, right?
Right.
So I suggest every single time I get a new client, and I always talk to them, right? You need an accountant, you need a good real estate attorney, you need a good, as Maribel said, she has her real estate license, but she still uses a professional to
Yeah.
help her buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Why? Because that's their bread and butter, and that's their knowledge. And that's why, there's so many, that when I hear people using online tools for taxation, for filing their taxes, if you just have an easy peasy W-2 from work and you can do it, then okay. But the moment you have anything more complex, like real estate investing, you should absolutely work with a CPA that has knowledge and can guide you through that I would say, process, and maximizing your income and maximizing your dollars. At the end of the day, nobody wants to pay more than they have to the IRS, and that's it.
Yeah. So Maribel, here's the next question. When does it make sense for a flipping client? When does it make sense for them to stand up, open up an S corporation or a corporate entity versus just a simple, I don't know, DBA LLC? Can you speak to that part?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, as a general practice, I don't think you should go out and just buy the property under your personal name. I mean, that's not really for tax purposes. That's just good practice. And I'm not an attorney, but let me tell you that we live in the US, and there's lawsuits left and right. And so you're dealing with so many contractors, you're dealing with so many people that you really should consider not putting things under your personal name. So at a minimum, create an LLC. Now, when you create the LLC, the point at which you decide to change the way it's taxed, it's really based on profitability. So it comes down to how much do you think you're going to make?
Okay.
And if you think you're going to have enough activity, and every industry is different, there's no specific chart that I can refer you to on the IRS. It's based on experience. I can tell you that if you think you're going to make more than between 42,000 on the flip, you should consider an S corp. So when you do that and you create the S corp, now you have, yes, it's true, now you have a separate tax return that you have to do. But it's really not a big deal, because some people shy away from S corps because they're like, oh no, I'm going to have an extra tax return. But think about this: you're going to have an extra business return no matter what. So it's either going to be on your personal as a Schedule C or as an S corp. So that's kind of the point at which I tell clients and that are flipping, between 36 to 42,000. So if you think your profit's going to be more than that, you benefit from the S corp, and the way you calculate the savings is basically just your profit times the 15.3 self-employment tax. That's a very general rule to kind of decide if it makes sense for you. And so in that, I just want to mention that sometimes my people in flipping businesses get confused because they start talking about mortgages, and they're like, well, but I shouldn't have a gain because I have a mortgage. And so really, the mortgage doesn't play into the calculation. So let me tell you briefly how to calculate your gain. So you take a look at how much did you pay for the thing, okay? And then you add all your improvements. And I've seen this where a property is getting improved over years. So you just keep adding it, however many years it takes, all the money you spent on the improvements, the holding cost, that also you have to account for that. If you have a mortgage, the interest expense on that. So all these things get added, and so you end up with a cost basis. So you compare that to what you're selling it for. And yes, of course, you have to account for those closing costs, and because there's a lot of closing costs. So then you account for that, and you're like, okay, that's my gain. But notice how I didn't mention the principal on a mortgage in any of this. And so it doesn't matter. And so the cash flow in this industry, I think there's a big confusion sometimes between cash flow and what's taxable and what's not.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then one last question, because for most flipping clients, they fall into the bucket of like investors. Is property flipping, can you do that as part of a 1031 exchange? What is the straightforward answer to that question?
Unfortunately, no. So the
No. Okay.
1031s are really meant for investment properties.
Got it.
So if you are a real estate professional and you have a lot of this activity going on, I would not do that because it's not really meant for that. So at a minimum, hold it for 12 months with the tenant and then look into a 1031 and see if it makes sense at that point.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you for sharing your time with us while you are enjoying a little bit of vacay with your family. As we wrap up, audience members, today's episode of Flipping That House, your question could be, maybe, and is, how do I get in touch with all of you? It's real simple. Let's start with Maribel. You obviously, as you were listening to her expert advice, you saw how you can reach out to her through her business website. That's the easiest way. She's got a great digital point of presence, a lot of content she shares through her website, so you can reach out to her that way. If you want it even easier, here's what you can do. Simply scan the QR codes for Catalin and myself. We'd be glad to open that door for a live conversation that you can have with Maribel. So, ladies and gents, Catalin and Maribel, thank you for sharing your time with me, our audience today, during this Labor Day, where yes, it is a labor of love. Yes, we are kind of working. For those of you who don't have to work, hey, enjoy your Monday, regardless of where you're at, whether it's here in Chicago or elsewhere. At least here in Chicago, our weather is beautiful, right?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
All right, audience members, until we see you, Catalin and myself, in the next episode of Flipping That House, 4 weeks out. Adios.
Ciao. Thank you, Maribel. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.